It is Thursday, January 28th, and it's time to check your bell work. All right, the first part of this, I ask you to write each in word form. Okay, so we're going to take it chunk by chunk. And the first thing I see is I see this little chunk before the decimal point, and this to me looks like 659. It's not 659 because there's not a decimal point in there. So I should have 659. That gets the dash. Now there's a decimal point. I'm going to write the word and. And this next little chunk is an 8, but it's not a regular old 8 because this 8 is in the tenths place. So I need to say 8 tenths. So you should have 659 and 8 tenths. For number 2, this first part in front of the comma is 1, and that 1 is in the thousands place, not thousandths. 1,000. So I'm going to say 1,000, comma, because there's a comma. My next chunk before the decimal point is 55. This 5 is in the ones place, so I don't have to say 55 ones. I can just say 55. So 1,055, there's my decimal point, and okay, this last chunk, it's 4, but this 4 is in the hundredths place. So I'm going to say and 4 hundredths, not 400s, 4 hundredths. So it's 100 with a this. Last one of these. The first chunk in front of the decimal point, that's 400. 400. Just a plain old 100. No this, just 100. There's my decimal point. And second chunk, I see this as 28, but it's 28 thousandths because that 8 is in the thousandths place. So I'm going to write 28. A dash, and now I need to try to squeeze the word thousandths in here. Let's see if I can do it. Thousandths. All right. If you didn't get yours to fit, you could write underneath. Okay, now we're going to find each sum or difference. That's the result of an addition or subtraction. The sum is the addition, the difference is the subtraction. And I give you some grid paper to be able to work these through. For number 4, I have 42 and 6 tenths. And it's plus 37. Remember, if the number does not have a decimal point, it's because it's after it. We didn't have to put it because there's nothing after it, but now we need to know where it would go so that we can set this up properly. Because this 7 represents 7 ones, and that should be underneath the 2, which is in the ones place. Now we're ready to add. I'm going to put a 0 in this big blank spot where nothing is there because 0 represents nothing. 6 plus 0 is 6. I bring down my decimal point so it's nice and lined up like a little snowman. 2 plus 7 is 9, and 4 plus 3 is 7. And 79 and 6 tenths would be our answer to number 4. Moving on to number 5. Another value here without a decimal point, but yes, there is one. Oop, there it is, right there after the 8. So I'm going to write my 8 with a decimal point so that I know the 6 goes underneath that 8. And I'll fill in my 1, 7. There's my subtraction sign. I'm going to put 2 zeros here. That is necessary because I can't just drop this 17 hundredths down. This means 0 minus 7. And you can't take 7 away from 0. And I can't borrow from next door, so I have to go all the way over to 8 to borrow. I'm going to borrow from the 8, and it's 7, and we give 10 next door. Now I can borrow from this 10. This 10 is 9, and I give the 10 to this 0. 10 minus 7 is 3. 9 minus 1 is 8. Drop down your decimal point, and 7 minus 6 is 1. So 1 and 83 hundredths is what you should have. All right, number 6, finding a sum here. I have 143 and 37 hundredths plus. Now this is 64 and 8 tenths. I'm going to put my decimal point there. It's the 64 and the 8. That's how it should be lined up. I know there's nothing underneath the 7. That's okay. I can put a 0 there. 7 plus 0 is 7. 8 plus 3 is 11. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 6 plus 4 is 10. And 1 plus 1 is 2. And do not forget your decimal point. The answer to this should be 208 and 17 hundredths. All right, one left, number 7. I'm going to write it right underneath here. I have 82.8 minus 4 and 32 hundredths. The 4 needs to go underneath this 2 because that's the ones place. So this is what it should look like when you set it up. I'm going to go ahead and put a 0 in this empty space there. And now I see I can't take 2 away from 0, so I need to borrow from the 8, and it's now 7, and I added 10 to that 0. 10 minus 2 is 8. 7 minus 3 is 4. Build my snowman. And I was on a roll, but now I see I need to borrow. Some of you, when you look at this, you look at it as 82 minus 4, and it's totally fine just to write 78. If you are just in the zone and you're like, no, I gotta borrow, then go ahead and borrow. If you borrowed it, I would borrow from the 8, and it would be 7. I add 10 to the 2 to have 12. 12 minus 4 is 8, and 7 minus big empty box is 7. So as I said before, 78 and 48 hundredths. You are done with your bell work. Good luck with the rest.